It's been a while. Hi everybody, my name is Jeremy and welcome to my channel. For no particular reason, I just kind of wanted to dig up some old history and share my coming out story for those of you who have not been around on my channel long enough to know it. Back when I first came out, I made like this super weepy emotional video about coming out, and so it's been several years since then, and like I said, for no particular reason, I just wanted to talk about it. My coming out story is not a particularly happy one, so if any of you guys are like upset easily, maybe maybe go find someone who has like a coming out story where they told their family and their family threw them like a barbecue, because that would have been great if my family had thrown like a big like bacon festival or something for me. I need to premise that I knew for a long time coming at that point that my family was not going to be receptive to me coming out. When I was a very, very little kid, I remember like, I don't know, probably 5th or 6th grade, one of our family friends, their son had come out, and it was like a huge talk of the town, a huge talk of the church. It was this giant scandal because, you know, Christianity and all that, because the parents were fine with it and they were like, you know what, we support you, we love you, whatever. And so like it was a huge deal, and I think this family ended up they didn't even go to our church anymore for after that incident happened, because they were treated so badly for their response and for being loving. So I knew because my dad told me, like, right after that incident happened, he was like, if you ever come out and if you ever tell me that you're gay, like so-and-so did, you will not be my son anymore. And then also, there was somebody that my dad worked with who was gay, and he like took in this kid who had gotten kicked out from his home. And so like, there were just a lot of echoes in my life of people like being gay, and my dad like reinforcing like, I don't think that's okay, and it will never be okay with me, da 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 da, you know. So premise, I just needed to put that out there. So when I came out, it was because I was dating Jacob. And I was not forced or pressured or even talked to about coming out. It was something that was very important to me because I was very close with my family. I had known for a very long time that I was gay, and I had been thinking about it since like 4th grade. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna tell my dad someday that I'm gay. I'm gonna tell him that, I didn't know those words when I was a kid, but I knew. I was like, I'm gonna tell him that I'm different. I'm gonna tell him that something is not the same with me as everybody else, and I'm gonna tell him eventually, and I'm gonna tell him off. I'm gonna yell at him, and I'm gonna cuss at him about how he was, you know, a mean dad by saying these awful things to me, that I wouldn't be his son anymore. And like, I had all of these things in my head, like, I'm gonna tell him off. And I never did that, because I'm not that type of person. I'm the type of person that'll be like very angry inside my head or inside my heart, and then I'll just never express that. So I had moved out at that point. I wasn't living with my family, but they did technically own my car, even though I was paying for like the gas. Like, it was paid off by them. They had given it to me on my 16th birthday, but it was technically their car. I didn't have my own phone. It was technically on their plan. So that's set up. It'll make sense later. So I had been living at college. I was like out of the house. I was going back every like weekend, basically to do laundry, to kind of have dinner and like not eat ramen. So I was there. I had just broken up with my girlfriend. Like, we had broken up like, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months before that. And my mom was really upset with the whole situation because she really liked her, and she was like worried about me because I hadn't had like a steady girlfriend. And so she was like, maybe things are gonna start happening that we don't want to talk about and admit. My parents had known for a long time. They knew that I was gay. They knew I was different, but they were hoping that I would go back to like my Christian roots and like lie about it and just accept the fact that God didn't want this, whatever. So I was just supposed to like deny myself my truth and just kind of live life to make them happy. So they had known, they were worried, and I started dating Jacob, and I was just like, you know what, I can't do this, because every time I see, my parents are asking me about girlfriends, they're asking me who I'm seeing, if I'm seeing anybody, they're wanting to know where I'm at, and I'm like going places with him, I'm taking pictures with him, and like, I had made a whole separate Facebook, because I had my own Facebook, and I had been posting on that like religiously forever. I think actually at this point I was in grad school. I had graduated college and I was in grad school. So there's another layer to this story. So I was like literally on this Facebook since I graduated high school. Like my parents weren't on Facebook, but they had friends that were. So like they would like stalk me through their friends. And I created a whole separate, I was like trying to figure out where I was going with that. I created a whole separate Facebook because I'm like, you know what? Nobody can know about this from back home because my parents will find out and it'll turn into something else that it doesn't have to turn into. So I created this separate Facebook, and my mom didn't know about that. So we were like talking about our relationship on that Facebook, and this one I was still kind of like curbing, and I was mostly using it for like gaming and stuff, and I was like posting every now and again on it just to kind of like throw my parents' scent off. So they had seen pictures of Jacob through that Facebook because I had posted a couple pictures of us at Disneyland. So one weekend I went home and I was like really bummed out because I'm like, I've not been honest with my family. I'm lying to them and I can't be a liar. I just can't do it. It's not in my nature. It kills me to lie to people about anything, especially about things that are important. So they're like talking to me and I'm telling them I'm depressed, and they're doing the whole like, what do you have to be depressed about? You have nothing to be depressed about. Your life is great, da 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 da. And finally I just spill it and I exploded and I was like, I'm gay, I always have been gay, I knew I was gay from this point, and da 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 da. Silence. Complete silence and just anger on their faces. Both my parents were in law enforcement, so they have like that angry face that they get when they're like upset, that like super angry like cop face. And in the back of my head I'm just like, oh shit. Oh shit. So I am forgetting exact details of how everything happened, but I know there was a lot of yelling. I remember there was a ton of yelling and a lot of like, no, you're not this way. God didn't make you this way. We didn't raise you this way. We didn't make you this way. We didn't teach you this is okay. And it was a lot of me being like, why would I actively choose this? Why would I decide upon myself? Like, I want to ruin your lives. I want to potentially make my life very difficult, finding an employer who's not going to be discriminatory, finding people to live next to that aren't going to like try to kill me because I'm gay or whatever. Like, why would I choose this lifestyle actively and choose to be discriminated against for the rest of my life? Why would I do that? And why would I purposefully try to upset you guys? And it was a lot of like, oh, well, you just want to be rebellious because you never had a rebellious phase. You're trying to like upset us and trying to go against God and this and that. And then at one point, I remember my dad got up off the couch and he was still screaming at me and both of his hands went around my neck. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking like, I kind of disassociated, I pulled out. And I'm like watching myself getting essentially strangled by my dad. And I'm just kind of thinking like, I'm either going to die here and my parents are going to go to jail because somebody's going to find out I died. And they're going to go to jail, which will be justice for them in the end. Or my dad's going to let go. I'm going to leave this place and everything is going to be different. And in my head, there was no turning back at this point. There was no like, haha, just kidding. I will go to therapy, you know, or whatever. Like there was no alternative to turn back because I had done straight therapy before. It wasn't technically conversion therapy, but at one point my parents had caught me looking at gay porn and sometime after I graduated high school, and so they told me like if I wanted to keep living in their house, then I needed to go to therapy. And like the therapist I saw was like super chill. Like he didn't try to convert me at all. He was trying to figure out how to make my relationship with my dad better so that when I eventually did come out, the problem wouldn't be so big. But I'm like, my dad is like kind of crazy because he's a cop and he's seen shit. He's seen a lot of shit. So like he's gonna act crazy no matter what. And it's just the way that he is. So my dad's not like crazy. I'm just saying like his viewpoints are crazy. So all that to say, I had already done that, and I had been seeing a therapist for like a year. Like right around the time that my girlfriend and I broke up, I started seeing somebody for something else, for another issue, and then that brought out the whole, like, okay, I'm gay, I need to come out to her, which is why we broke up. And, where was I going with that? So there was no going back. There was no, like, I'm gonna go see a therapist or whatever. Like, that wasn't even on the table. That was not a card to play. I knew I was going to leave or I was gonna die. Those were my options. Those weren't my options, those were my dad's options. Whether he was gonna let me live or let me die. And, I mean, because I was disassociated, I don't remember if he was, like, actually choking me that hard, or if it was just, like, I can't believe you're doing this, like, hands on the neck, or if he was, like, legitimately choking. I don't know. I just was not present at all. And then I remember he threw me on the ground, and then he stormed into the room. And I was, like, ready to get my stuff. I was like, I'm gonna grab my backpack, and I'm gonna jet. I am out of here. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go. But then he comes out, and he goes to the car, and he starts ripping things out, like, stuff that are his. And so he's, like, ripping stuff out of the back seat and out of the trunk because we had already packed it. I was going to go home and take some stuff home for the weekend, some of my things. And so he's, like, ripping it all out and throwing it into the house. And more conversation. More like, you're not leaving until I'm done with you. And so I'm thinking, okay, I need to get on the phone and call 911. Like, this is fucking serious. I need to get out of here. And I didn't know what to do. Like, I was legitimately terrified. My brother, by the way, is in the back room. He's playing video games. He has headphones on. He can't hear anything that's going on. He has no idea what is happening. So, conversation after conversation, like, why are you doing this to us? Why are you hurting us this way? And I, like, quickly texted Jacob, like, I don't even remember when I did it, but I do remember texting him, like, I will get a hold of you somehow. And it was just this long conversation, like, why are you hurting us this way? Why are you choosing to do this to us? And it was like, I'm not doing this to you, I'm doing this for me. And so we eventually finished. My dad was like, you're not my son anymore, you need to get out of my house. And so he's like, give me my phone, which, I mean, was my only form of communication. So I gave it back to him, because it was technically his, he was paying for it. Get in the car, and as I'm leaving, my brother's kind of like, he's still playing his video game. My dad goes into the room, it rips off the headphones, I can hear him, and he goes, you do not have a brother anymore. Throws the headphones on the ground, and then storms out and slams the door to his bedroom. My mom drives me back to my apartment, which at the time I was living in Azusa. So it was like an hour drive home, and my mom's just sobbing the whole way. And eventually, my potatoes are done. I made tater tots. So we're driving home to my home, and my dad called, and it was just more like sobbing, like, please don't do this, please, like, just let us help you. And I'm like, this is it. This is my life. I'm sticking to this. Like, I'm not gonna change who I am and hurt myself and break up with this guy who I really like. I'm not doing that for you guys. I'm not gonna make you happy to make myself miserable for the rest of my life. I'm not doing that. So we get home, I take my stuff out of my car. My mom says, this is mine now. This is ours now. You can have it back when you come back and you're better. So then she turns around and drives away. And I'm like, I don't have a car, I don't have a bike. I have work and school coming up, like, literally the next day. I'm like, I don't fucking know what to do. And the kind of aftermath of that, everything did get better. I feel like I should talk a little bit about that. So I walked like half a mile down the street, maybe a little more. I was kind of disassociated. I just walked to my friend's apartment, and I was like, she has a phone, she has Facebook with Jacob on it, so she can message him, and then maybe we'll figure out how I can get in contact with him. So I walked to her house. She wasn't there yet, and I'm just like sobbing at the door, and I'm like, is Lauren here? And they're like, no, she's not here yet, but she should be back soon. So I like go and sit in her room. I'm like sitting on her bed, and I remember she came in, and she had heard that I was there for her, and she came in and she was smiling, and she like saw my face and was like, oh no, what happened? And I explained the whole thing to her, and she just sat there with me and held me for a while, and I just cried in her arms. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to go on. I don't know how to live. I don't know what to do, because everything is, for me, everything is gone. I just lost 80% of my life. And she comforted me. She comforted me for a while. And then I got on her phone, I got on Facebook, I messaged Jacob, and I'm like, hey, you need to call me at this number right now. This is Jeremy. And so he like must have gotten the notification right away, because he called me within a few minutes. And I told him the whole thing. He came up to me and then drove me to the Walmart so that we can get me a bike, which was a disaster. That bike was the worst bike in the whole world. Oh, I've got stories about that bike. And then we got me a phone. I can't remember if it was that day or the next day, but we got it was the next day. He put me on his AT&T plan, and so like I got a new phone the next day. So like I wasn't out of communication with the world for very long, and I wasn't out of transportation for very long. There were a lot of horrible things that progressed after that, and it got really, really worse before it started getting better. But the point of that is, because I wanted to leave it on a high note. I didn't want to just leave like the world is crushed. It did get better. It got better for me. It got better for my relationship. My parents and I are still like not totally talking. Like I talk to them on birthdays, on holidays. I have gone to their house like once. They've offered me to like stay the night, which I don't feel totally comfortable with, so I don't do it. They've never been in my home. They don't want to know anything about my life that involves anything homosexual or anything gay. They want to know bare minimum, like surface level nonsense. That's it. That's our relationship. And that I'm fine with. I'm totally 100% fine with, because I knew that that's how it was going to be. I knew that that's what our relationship would become. And long story short, it did get better. It got better for me. I'm in a much better place now. I'm happy now with my life. I'm happy with the decision that I made, and I would never, ever, ever go back and change it. Maybe I would go back and decide to do it a little differently. Maybe I would do it while I was at home and on the phone with them, so then I could keep the car, because that would have, if I had been able to keep that car, so many things would have changed in, I think, a more positive direction. But because they made that decision to not let me keep that car, even though it had been mine for years, and because they chose to take it away, and they literally sold it, they didn't even keep it, they didn't even need it, they just wanted to get rid of it. If they let me keep that, things would have gotten better faster, but because they took it, that kind of changed my situation a bit. But I would never go back and change when I did it. Maybe how I did it, but not when. And that's the whole point, is that it did get better, and got better for me. And maybe in your situation, if you're watching this and you haven't come out yet, maybe it's not perfect right now to come out. And I would encourage anybody who hasn't come out yet and is afraid to take light in the fact that it will get better someday, and it might be hard at first. And also be aware of when to come out, because it's not always safe to do so. Sometimes you just have to wait until the time is right, and that's what I had to do. I was 21 or 22 when I finally came out. I was older. I was much older. I was established. I had a job. I had an apartment. I had a place to go, and I had people that could help me. And that's what sometimes you need to wait for. Sometimes it's not smart to come out when you are 14, 15, 16, because there are homeless shelters filled with LGBT kids. So make sure that you take caution in that too, and when you come out, because it's not always the right time, and it's not always safe. So do it when it's safe, and when it's the time to do it, things will work themselves out, and things will get better. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time, someday, with another video. If you have anything in particular that you'd like me to produce, put that in the comments below. It would kind of help me give a direction of where I should start taking videos, because I want to start making videos again. I kind of missed them. But yeah, if you have anything that you want me to create, put that in the comments below. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!